Had social media as a teaching tool as one of our contemporary issues in education. So we'll start with the question, what is social media? Social media is highly used today in all over the world, but it's starting to be more of a tool in the classrooms and in the education field. Social media consists of websites that allow users to create, share, collaborate, and interact with others all around the world, not just in the classroom. So there are different types of social media and different types of social media that you can use as a tool in the classroom. There are the main popular ones like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. And there's also more of a education tool that is more pointed to the classroom, like Dojo, Edmodo, Pinterest, YouTube, and Teachers Pay Teachers, Google Docs, and blogs. So the question is, how can these social media tools actually benefit a classroom and education, and how can we use them as a tool? So many of these websites can be used to incorporate cooperative learning techniques while keeping the lessons interesting, engaging, and at the same time hands-on. So for example, Pinterest. Pinterest is a huge social media tool. It can be used for exchanging lesson ideas with other educators. So for example, if you are a second grade teacher and you look up second grade lesson plans for planting a seed, you can see how this teacher taught it, and then you can think to yourself, oh, that's a great idea. That's a great teaching tool. Maybe, I'll print this off and I can teach my students that. Facebook, Edmodo, and Google Docs are a really great resource that can be used to encourage cooperative learning assignments as in group work. Google Docs is a really great tool for group work because a lot of the kids, say if you can't get together or you don't live in the same area, you can use Google Docs and work at the same time without being in the same place. Dojo is a great way to keep track of students' behaviors and definitely keeping parents involved in the classroom. It's a great point system, and all throughout the day the parents are in constant contact with the teacher and they can see how their child is doing. They can say, oh, well, my son just got a point for following directions, and at 2:30 they can see, oh, he just got a point taken away for being off task. I'll have to talk to him about that later. So that's a really great tool. Facebook is also a great tool because the school in general can have their own Facebook page. So for instance, a school, West Elementary, they can have their own Facebook page and send messages out. Don't forget, picture days Monday at 2 o'clock, or awards are at 9 in the morning. So it's very convenient, and it beats sending home a million newsletters every day and paper, and it saves a lot of paper as well. Okay, so like many other things, social media does have its advantages and disadvantages. So there's a quick little YouTube video that you can watch that kind of goes more into depth with that. So to go more in detail with the advantages of social media as a teaching tool, it promotes student engagement. So it gets students to be more involved. They have to do work themselves. They're the ones responsible to look up the research. They have to know how to do it. It's definitely flexible and helps different learning styles. It's definitely a differentiated tool. Social media also encourages parent involvement. So parents really like to be involved, and it's a great tool to keep them involved, lets them know what's going on, and it's immediate contact with the teacher through parent at whatever time of the day. It's just like texting. It's also really important to adapt teaching styles to the new generation. Nowadays, everything is on the computer, whether it's online classes. A lot of the kids do their testing on computers. So a lot of things are done through technology, and it's very important nowadays to get these students to know how to use a computer, to know how to look up research, to prepare them for higher grades. Like I said before, it can also be used to create online classes. So for instance, if you are sick maybe one day and can't go to class, the lesson is still online and you are still able to get it done, whether you're in your pajamas in bed or whether you are at school, you can still get the work done. Now the disadvantages. So Albert Einstein has a quote, and it says, "I fear the day technology overcomes our humanity. The next generation will be of idiots." So basically what it comes down to, a lot of people are afraid that students are not going to be hands-on anymore, as in writing with pencil and cutting and pasting and, being hands-on. Nowadays, it's just printing and typing and, learning things through a computer and not through textbooks. A lot of veteran teachers have a problem with this. There's also the concern of cyberbullying. Bullying is everywhere, whether it's in person or over the computer. There's also the concern of sexual harassment. And another concern, students can be addicted to social media. So maybe they're spending too much time, or maybe that's the way that they think that that's the only way that they can learn, which is obviously not true. This can lead to students having difficulty when they actually do have a face-to-face interaction with an adult through a class. There's also privacy concerns, and it also is said to decrease time for hands-on learning. So continuing with the disadvantages, social media is not always factual when conducting research. I know you always hear this saying, don't believe everything you see on the computer or the internet or TV, and this is definitely the case. Students need to know what is actually factual that they can put in their research papers and find a peer-reviewed journal and not just anything they find on Google or Wikipedia. Another big advantage is schools that don't have the money to have these kind of advantages. Lower income and urban schools, they don't have the money to have these, or if they do, it's one or two computers, and not all of the students have their own computer. So not all classrooms can use a smart board, and not all classrooms can afford the latest technology. And you also have kids who may have an online class who don't have a computer at home. So it's almost impossible for them to be doing their work. So that's a huge disadvantage. Accommodating English language learners, social media is a pretty effective tool. A lot of ELL students are more comfortable learning through social media. So behind a computer screen, they're a lot more comfortable with talking to people behind a screen because they have time to fix their errors, fix their grammatical mistakes. They have time to try and understand what you just said and how they're going to respond back. To whereas a conversation, you're face to face and you have to get what you need to say out immediately. Also, ELL students learn really good through visuals. So the teacher can pull up a YouTube video and incorporate, their native language with whatever lesson that they are learning at that point in time. So to wrap everything up, just like many other things, there are both pros and cons of social media as a teaching tool. However, when you use it appropriately, it can really lead to increased involvement, engagement, higher education, and understanding. But when you misuse it, you can also have negative impacts on one's social, emotional, and cognitive development. So our advice to all teachers is to utilize appropriate technology to reach all different types of learning styles. in your kids.